Hello, new week, new video, and in this one, we're talking fuse boxes. Let's get into it. Fuse boxes. Now, what is a very common thing, I believe, with VK Commodores is the fuse rail to get very hot and want to melt. So, in this video, I'm going to rectify that problem and put a new fuse rail in. Now, previously, the big fella who had this before me took out fuse 1 and 2, which is headlights, high and low beam, and put them on a separate one because, well, they're no good. But going up to fuse 5 on here, it's all a bit distorted, so I'm going to put a whole new rail in. Now, I do have a spare fuse rail from our donor statesman there. Now, these are almost identical, slightly different part number, but everything's pretty much the same. So we'll go straight in place of our melted one. I did cut it out of the statesman and I have pulled the pins. Now, one side of the fuse rail has big funny looking ones like this, and then the other side's all single. So I'm going to pop all the fuses out here, and what you do is you get a little screwdriver and just put it down in between. I'll show you on the melted one. You just put it down either side of that, which just bends the tab over, and then you pull it out from the back, and it'll come out. So what I need to do is I need to mark or label every wire underneath here what number on the fuse rail it is, so I know where to put it back when that time comes, and tidy up some of this mess and get that seated in nicely, ready for reinstallation back in the car when the time comes. So I'm going to get marking these wires what they are, and I'll get back to you shortly. Alright, so I've labelled all the wires what slot they go to, and I have actually taken a few out. So if you look, I've got 15, 14 and half of 13 out in there. Now, there is one side of them, have big ones like this, and it's only got one wire going to it, and then the other side only has one wire on it, which doesn't make sense to me, but the other one was like that, so this one's like that. Now, I'll show you how you put your screwdriver in and wiggle them out. Hopefully I can do it on camera because they can be a bit tricky, and we'll get on with things. So, you've got your rail like this, and what you want to do is you want to stick your screwdriver down the sides, wiggle it down like it's tight, but it'll go down, and you just want to push the that little tab down. Now hopefully I can just pull that one out, which I can't. It is a fiddly job, but I will succeed. So this is the other half of number 13, and that one has come out and got tangled in with another one, so 13 is out. And you just keep going down the rail until you get them out. But if we look at this one here, number 2 fuse, which was melted, will not come out. That's stuck in there. But those wires were cut inside there, so what we do with those I don't know yet. But if you look, you know, number 5 is melted. Number 4, number 3 is not too bad, but just best and safer to change the whole thing and have no issues and sort out all of this spaghetti nice and neat. It's a bit a tangly mess. So I'm going to continue on pressing these out, and I'll let you know when I'm up to date. Or I've got this detached from this. Okay, time for an update on how I'm going. It's not easy, I tell you. The first from 10 to from 15 to 9. It's pretty good. But then once I hit this big boy here, it's got 5 in 1. That's when it started to get tricky with the melted bits. So I have to cut them out. They're that melted in. So, you know, this half here was pretty good. Then I had to cut it off there. And each one, I'm just trying to cut it out because they're glued in there. I can't get them out. So I think I've got 4 to go. And then it's rerouting these back into the fresh one, but putting up a fight like everything else on this car. Well, after a few hours of fiddling around with this, I've got the fuse box off. Or, in fact, the fuse rail is off. Now, this is what remains of the original fuse rail. There's no way they're coming out of that. They are melted in good and solid, as were up to number 9. Now, cutting them out was the only option. And, you know, this obviously got so hot that it melted. If you can see by that in there, like it's just the shape of the terminals. So it had to be cut out. Now, I did lose half of this one, so that one needs to be re-terminized. And as well as number 1, number 2, I want to re-terminize with these and get the some kind of factory look back. These ones I cut out. If you look closely at these tabs here, when you put the screwdriver down here, that's what pushes in, and that allows you to pull it out of the slot. So these ones were cut out, so they're still in lock-in form. But yeah, so before they go back in, it's just open these back out and pop them back in the slot. So time to repair the damaged ones, sort it out so they're not tangled up, ready to install in the new rail. Well, I thought I'd have a go at extracting out number 1 and 2. Now you can see by these, that one's not too bad. But if you look at this one, it's full of plastic where it's got really hot. And then number 2, that one, yeah, full of plastic, not too bad, but look at this. I can't get that off. That's as close as I can get, that one, to being free. That is toasted. So it's got pretty hot at some point. Anyways, I do need to get some heat shrink to reattach some terminals to the ends of those because I don't want those ones on. I'm going to re-jig these wires and re-number them so they're all nice and free, and then start putting them back in. All right, I've been doing a bit of soldering and stuff. Number 1 and number 2, or number 1 and number 2 now have the correct ends on. I've soldered on the new wires. Just need to put some heat shrink over them. Unfortunately, those ones were cut very shallow originally, so I don't have much length, but number 1's over there, should be able to get that into the right place. And number 4, I had the broken terminal, so I've put a new end on there. I just used one of the existing ones from the Statesman, but I wasn't able to match the colors. The only ones I could actually, number 1 actually, I went pink to pink, but now we've got green to orange on here and red to purple on here, but it's only the tips, doesn't matter. So yeah, next thing, heat shrink to protect these terminals. I'm not going to put electrical tape because that just unravels itself eventually anyway, so heat shrink's the way to go in there, and then I can start putting the rail back in. Well, I now have the heat shrink on, as you can see there, and there's also one more in there somewhere. So I think now it's time to start thinking about getting the band back together and putting the rail back in. So that's what I'll do. Well, it's done. Rails back in, fuses are in, all put back together, done and dusted. Now I did have a little issue here with number 3. The one from the Statesman, I had one pin that was stuck in, it just would not come out whatsoever, and unfortunately I damaged the slot and was unable to get the new one back in for this one. So what I've done is, where are we? Just move number 3 to the spare one over here, so we're all good. The fuses are all correctly numbered, like, you know, to their correct voltage. All the plugs at the bottom are back in. Now, I don't recommend taking these out like I did because they're hard to get back in with all the spaghetti wiring underneath here. It's crazy to get back in, but I got it all in. And once the cover's on, we're done. Fuse box is done. So that's ready for reinstallation when the time comes. Pretty stoked about that. So not too bad a job. Just keep an eye on where they came from and what number they go back in, and you're laughing. So, and did end up with a nice blister on my palm, and that is very sore, but hard work, there's a price to pay, isn't there? Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.